After days of mounting suspense over a possible breakthrough in the Middle East tensions, US President Donald Trump has announced that the United States and Iran have reportedly finalized a peace agreement that is aimed at ending hostilities and preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Speaking from the Oval Office, Donald Trump said that the deal would likely be signed in Europe over the coming weekend, with Vice President J.D. Vance expected to represent Washington at the signing ceremony. He described the development as a major diplomatic milestone and claimed that the agreement would formally ensure that Iran permanently abandons any ambition to develop nuclear weapons, which he said had been the central objective of US policy throughout the conflict. Donald Trump stated that he believed Iran's Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei had personally approved the agreement, suggesting that the decision reflected a major shift in Tehran's position after sustained military and diplomatic pressure. He further claimed that the United States had effectively brought an end to the conflict with Iran, saying that both the sides had agreed to move towards peace subject to the finalization of documents in the coming days. And according to him, the deal also includes broader regional implications, including the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical global energy shipping route that had been a point of concern during heightened tensions. He framed the agreement as a resolution achieved after what he described as Iran taking a pounding, implying that pressure had forced Tehran to come to the negotiating table. The US president reiterated that Iran's nuclear program remained the core issue in the negotiations, emphasizing that preventing Tehran from acquiring a nuclear weapon had been a key priority for his administration. He argued that the agreement would place strict limits on Iran's nuclear enrichment activities and ensure long-term safeguards against weaponization. Donald Trump also suggested that the deal represented a broader security guarantee for both the Middle East and the Europe, warning that a nuclear-armed Iran would pose a direct threat to the regional stability, particularly to the US allies such as Israel. Israel has closely aligned itself with Washington's position on Iran's nuclear ambitions and has consistently argued that Tehran must not be allowed to develop nuclear weapons capability under any circumstances. And following Donald Trump's announcement, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office expressed cautious support for the reported framework, welcoming the commitment to restrict Iran's nuclear program. And Israel officials emphasized that any final agreement should include strict measures such as the removal of enriched uranium, dismantling of nuclear enrichment infrastructure, limits on missile production, and the restrictions on Iran's support for the regional armed groups. Israel reiterated that while it is not a party to the negotiations, its security concerns must be fully addressed in any final settlement. And despite the strong claims made by Washington, Iran has firmly rejected the idea that a final agreement has been reached. Iranian officials stated that negotiations are still ongoing and that no conclusive deal has been finalized. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail also said that Iran had not reached any final decision regarding an agreement and stressed that discussions remains unresolved. Iranian state-linked media also dismissed Donald Trump's announcement, suggesting that similar claims had been made multiple times in the past without being followed by an actual signed agreement. Some reports in Iranian media warn that until Tehran itself confirms any understanding, external statements should not be considered reliable. And at the heart of the dispute remains Iran's nuclear program, particularly its stockpile of enriched uranium. And according to the reports cited by the international agencies, Iran possesses a significant amount of uranium that is enriched up to 60% purity, which is only a short technical step away from weapons-grade levels of 90%. A large portion of this stockpile is believed to be stored in fortified underground facilities, including sites such as Isfahan, raising international concern over its potential for the rapid weaponization if Iran were to make a strategic decision to do so. Estimates have suggested that in a worst-case scenario, the existing stockpile could theoretically be sufficient for the production of the multiple nuclear weapons. Iran, however, has consistently maintained that its nuclear program is entirely peaceful and intended for civilian energy production and scientific purposes. It has repeatedly rejected Western demands to halt enriched activities, insisting that such restrictions would violate its sovereignty and undermine its energy independence. Tehran argues that it has the right under international law to pursue peaceful nuclear development and has accused the United States and Israel of attempting to impose politically motivated constraints on its technological progress. While Washington and Tel Aviv continue to push for strict limits or dismantling of Iran's nuclear capabilities, Tehran maintains its refusal to fully abandon enrichment. And as a result, despite Donald Trump's announcement of a finalized peace deal, there remains significant uncertainty over whether a binding agreement has truly been reached or whether negotiations are still ongoing behind the scenes. And for now, the situation remains fluid, with conflicting statements from both the sides, leaving the international community waiting for the official confirmation of any final signed treaty. That's all for now. Stay tuned to the Savera for more updates. Do like
of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like. If the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up. Oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before. We had a great settlement of the war with Iran, and we're going to be subject to finalization of documents, which should get done over the next few days. We'll probably have a signing maybe in Europe, and it's a great thing. Stock market's up 1,000 points. That means they like the deal. See, that means they like. If the market goes down, that means they don't like the deal. But it's been up. Oil's dropped. Oil will start coming down to, I think, even lower than it was before. We had